Because
All right, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order of the May Ottawa County Parks and Recreation Commission. And just a reminder, everybody, this will be broadcast and available for future recordings. So we do have Jess we have a new system in place. So Jess is going to give us a few pointers before we get started.
Yeah, so just as a reminder, speak into your mic. You will see 3 new cameras around the room. They are connected to the microphones, so the camera should find you as you're speaking. I like it just did me. That's great.
They
so that
really
folks
find me?
What's that?
Oh, just testing.
Oh, you can test it.
So it looks like if we talk over each other, maybe that'll be a problem. Yeah, they gave me the scoop on it, and it looks pretty cool. So yeah, we're test driving out the new system today. So yes, don't forget to talk in here. And I can turn you up if you're being quiet. So warning,
Yeah.
you've been warned.
Okay, so everybody bend your microphone so you can speak into it. And then we'll go ahead and start with roll call.
Okay, Rice,
Yes.
Longstreet,
Here.
McCaffrey,
here,
Belknap,
here,
Bush, Greenlee, Hill,
Here.
Allison, Jim,
Here.
Paul,
Here.
All right, we will go ahead. I don't think we have any additions or deletions to the agenda, unless you have anything, Jason, but I wasn't aware of
Nope.
anything. Okay. And then the approval of the minutes of the April 17th regular meeting. Hopefully you all had that in your packet and had a chance to look through those. Do we have a motion for approval?
So move.
Support.
second. Oh,
Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Jane and Lucas. Any comments, edits, concerns? All right, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, minutes are approved. Communications, we do have one in the packet. Is there anything that we need to touch on with that, or just kind of an FYI?
Nope, just an
Okay.
FYI.
Okay.
So it's nice to, right, sometimes those management strategies are a long time in seeing the benefit, and it just is, right, nice that somebody noticed and passed it on, so.
Yeah, that's very encouraging. Very nice. Okay, which will move us to our first opportunity for public comment. I don't see anyone in the audience, so anyone online that wishes to submit a public comment in writing, please note that there's a note on the YouTube video link where you can submit your comments in writing at any time during the month. All right, and we will keep moving then with the staff reports and start with the director's report. Jason?
So just, they're still moving along with Harbor Island. So they did have 2 dates. I think it was last week that they had some concept plans out and available for the public for feedback. It looks like this evening they are presenting concepts, and then June 3rd, they'll present to City Council. So, and at the time I wrote this, they still had the survey was open. So there's a link in my report for that. So we continued to work with Kent County on the interpretive plan, and I think we've refined it in a manner that really will focus on the interpretive themes and takes out some of the components that were more engineering and design work that, you know, each of us organizationally can kind of tackle. So we'll talk about that more as one of our committees in the upcoming months. And really, I think that is it.
Okay, great. Any questions for Jason? I guess I just had one super quick big picture comment. So if they're presenting reuse concepts tonight at a meeting, or was parks part of any of that, like in a big picture kind of fashion, or?
So we've provided feedback on the survey questions and guidance, right? Resources and materials on the significance of the Greenway, but as far as directly, they haven't
Okay.
presented, right, those for our review
Mhm.
to provide any feedback.
Okay, great. Anyone else? All right, we'll keep moving then with the park operations report.
All
Jason?
right. Well, operations staff has been spending all of their time getting ready for spring. We had a lot of early warm weather and mowing that started earlier than expected. So, been very busy. Uh, Seasonal hiring has gone a lot better this year than in years past. We have, I think, about 4 positions that we still have yet to hire, and they are all for our more skilled positions that are a little harder to hire that we can't just pick any old high school student to do. We do have some candidates for those and some interviews set up, but they've, obviously proven a little more difficult because they require a little more skill. But last year we had 9 positions we never filled, and this year we're already down to 4 preseason. So we're doing quite well comparatively. Seasonal staff training for the Lake Shore is happening as we speak. So Jeremy and Bob are over there getting those employees all oriented. As you can see, we closed Ottawa Sands, which was easier than I expected. We've had very few people just sneaking around in there, which is, I will say, very surprising to me. And then lastly, our fee stations went into all the parks earlier this month. We had a few hiccups, got them all worked out, so they're all operational for the weekend. A lot of people have already come into the park and purchased annual permits from the fee machines. A lot of people have purchased permits from the online passport system as well, and we're well over 50. I think somewhere around 65,000 in sales already preseason.
Wow,
Right.
So
that's awesome.
that's and that's just a off the top of my head number. It's probably not super accurate, but I do look at it almost every day to see where we're at on those. So yeah, it's been very good.
Great. Yeah, go ahead,
Quick
Jane.
question. Do you know approximately how many acres of turf mowing do we do?
I can tell you exactly, but I don't know it off the top of my head. Kurt, do you know the number that we do in our contract? No.
I know it's. I
Um,
know
I would
it-
be amazed if you guys knew.
I know,
that
that's
off
Yeah,
the
right.
top of your
God,
head.
I
Fair
have
It's a good question.
Yeah, I have some mowing that's contracted out, and I have quite a
Okay.
bit of mowing that's done by park staff. But we do have maps with exact acreages for every single one of those properties. So, I mean, if you're really curious, I can just email it to you tomorrow. I mean, it would only take me about 10, 15 minutes, but I don't have those maps with me or on
Well,
my
I
computer.
think it might be an interesting statistic, as I know you're constantly evaluating, areas that you mow and looking to see if, some of them maybe are not ever used, for certain activities. And then, the decision is made to maybe let those, have those be planted with native grasses and stuff like that. So I was just curious. I know that acreage amount that number has probably gone down.
It has. Yeah.
And so it might be an interesting metric to kind of keep track of as we evaluate those
Okay.
spaces.
I think what's interesting is, we've reduced mowing quite a bit since I've been here for the
Yeah.
past decade. And we use the metric of, what recreational value does that area we're mowing serve? And if it doesn't have a great recreational value, then it's probably not worth mowing. When we do get rid of some mowed areas, it's usually not park users that complain. It's usually park neighbors that complain. So it's the people who are looking across the street at it all day, every day, that all of a sudden it's not mowed now. So
Okay.
it's a visual thing, not
Yeah.
necessarily a use thing that people are more concerned about. And then we do have a few areas such as Hager Park that just traditionally have been a giant area of mowed grass. And we've, aside from along the streets where we've cut down quite a bit of mowing, we've not done a whole lot of reduction throughout Hager. So that would be someplace that we might be able to take on, but it would be extremely hard to figure out
Yeah.
exactly how to cut that up and make it still look nice, you know?
Mm.
But that's our biggest area of single patch of mowing besides the inside of the dog park, which obviously we're going to continue to mow.
Yeah, go ahead, Louise.
Just to kind of go along with that, how are things going at Gross Park with that area that was transitioning?
Neely can tell you she's been working out there.
I haven't. Tyler has. It's definitely transitioning. We did a ton of site prep before we planted. And it's kind of expected with these native seedings, especially because they're native prairie seed. It's going to be a couple years till we start to see them germinate and really come in. So we did put a cover crop in. The cover crop has been coming up, and then there's some kind of like agricultural type weeds that have been coming up. So we've been doing some spot treatments of those. And then we do plan to mow that cover crop, which is an annual rye, I believe. So we don't really expect to see the natives come up until at least next year, probably. But I
The
haven't
problem
heard
with
a ton
that
about
is,
it.
yeah, well, I haven't heard any complaints this year. But the problem with that is that it will be confusing to people when we mow it. But it's just part of the establishment plan. And so when we mow it, people are going to think, oh, look, they're mowing it again. Which chances are are you going to scalp it, or are you going to mow it at a?
No, I think that
Yeah.
I think that it will still be kept like relatively
Yeah,
long. It won't
that's-
look like turf grass.
We usually when we're mowing for management practices, we do one of two things. Either we keep it really tall so that, you know, the stuff can go through it, or if we really are looking to get the crop out of there, we scalp it and drop the mower. Either way, it doesn't look like what it looks like when we typically mow the grass.
Right. I know, like around here, there's the please excuse our
Mhm.
Mhm.
whatever signs and
And they went with all fully grown plants around here. So they're actually, I mean, I was noticing when I came in this afternoon, their natives that they planted are looking really nice already, but they didn't go with seed. They went with, you know, fully grown plants that
And
they
they
put
have
in.
fully grown plants and mulch
And mulch, and yes, exactly.
irrigation.
So, yes.
Still
yes.
signage up at Gross Park, right?
Yeah,
that
there
it
is.
says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
good.
is, just mentions establishment of a micro prairie. So
It'll be great. It'll take some time, but
Yeah.
it'll be great. So we'll probably have quite a few comments still this year of people that don't quite understand or think that we've changed our mind or think that it's just not working or all different responses that we'll get from people. So we'll just talk to them as they call or email.
And the Muscatawa Trail, is there any update on that as far as like, I've heard the conditions of the trail are fairly poor and it's owned by
So-
the state and that the state was going to do
Yep.
some repairs?
Yeah, it is owned by the state and we do manage it. And the state has allocated funds through ARPA and other funding sources to repave, replace bridges, and do a lot of different work there. Their current plan is that that's going to be finished by the summer of 26. And it's going to involve quite a bit of change there to the bridges and the surface. They may end up reducing the surface size to a 10-foot path instead of the current 14-foot path for budgetary reasons. They've also talked about even just not doing asphalt, doing crushed stone instead, which I don't think that that's the current direction they're going, but I also don't think that that's been decided. So we don't have a lease or a formal management agreement in place with them right now. We've been working with them on reestablishing that plan, but the biggest hangup has been that we want to see the condition of the trail before we commit to maintaining it for 10 or 20 years or whatever. So the latest thing I got back from the state was that they thought that perhaps it might be better for us to wait to have a long-term agreement until after they finish their work in 26. And in the meantime, we'll just keep with some sort of either short-term agreement, which they weren't in favor of, or just keep the status quo where we just do it and we work on this, I guess, sort of almost handshake agreement that it is right now. Seem accurate?
You could stretch that we're operating under the previous agreement. It's just not clear. if it's.
The
still-
previous
if
agreement
it's
did not
still
have a
valid.
clear end date, so so we could technically still be operating under that.
They're still paying invoices though, right?
Well, they do all the major uh, the major work there, so repaving, things like that, and we do pay for all minor. We pay for the mowing, the staffing, all of that to do it. So,
Okay.
So our daily work is just our budget, and then when something big needs done, like in the past, there's been culverts and other things that we've needed replaced, and the state has paid for that and done that. Although obviously the trail needs a whole lot of work, and not everything has gotten done because of state budgets. But it looks like there's a plan to actually get it done, and Alyssa said at the state said 26 was their target date for being completely done.
Great, thank you.
On a positive note, the kiosk worked because I used the code thing and it was easy. And there was a couple from Detroit who were gonna, after they did their thing on the way home, they were gonna get a pass because they come over every week from Detroit.
Nice. Good deal. Final questions, comments for Jason? All right. Kurt, you are up with the planning and development report.
Sure. So I just have a couple things to add to what's written under the Stearns connector segment. We've worked through most of the utility conflicts that I mentioned in my report. So they're starting to work again, for example, on the bridge. I don't know if anybody goes look at the bridge, but they have this huge crane that's just been sitting there for like 3 weeks, but they are starting to drive these new pilings into the bottom of the river that our trail will fit on. So, and then we had another spot where there were conflicts, and that one actually that we've come up with a new solution that may actually save us a little money. So that's always good if we can. Ottawa Sands, I put some pictures in there. I'll let Neely talk about the stuff on the restoration work, but the path around the lake is complete. So
Oh, dang,
it's
really?
very easy to walk around now. And they paved the day-use parking area just this week. So good progress on there. The restroom is still kind of, it's taking longer than everything else, but still on schedule to be done in August, probably. And then Kirk Park, I also put some pictures in on that. The schedule is the same. The restroom building will not be open and ready for this weekend. We think it's a couple weeks out yet, but the playground will be done. And we ended up replacing a whole bunch of the old asphalt walkways that were in there with concrete. It's going to look so much better. But it is, as always, a mad dash to the finish. They will be finishing the concrete work tomorrow morning. And that'll give us a day to get things cleaned up and ready for the weekend. But it's looking great. So that's all good. All right. I think that's all I need to talk about unless there's questions.
Has the road commissioner, who's ever working on that bridge, indicated when it's going to be reopened?
You know, I asked that just this week. I didn't get a specific answer. 4 weeks yet, I think, is
Okay.
what the best I can get, and that wouldn't surprise me if it goes longer than that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but I get calls pretty regularly from people wondering what's up with that.
I know that's a hot topic over by me. So.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
when's that
right?
bridge going to open?
How big is your detour, right?
Also in good news, I have friends who were using the dog beach and they loved it.
Oh, I
The
know. People
stairs
are
were
using the
great. They
dog
were happy
beach.
with the rules. Everybody's good.
Yep, that is true.
Go ahead.
Was there any need for some retaining walls out there at Ottawa Sands for the trail going around the lake?
No, the idea was to avoid that,
Wow.
and we